let's look at some of these aspects. A big advantage of franchising, there's an initial outlay, yes, but that's fairly limited, I think, in terms of what you can spend in a business today, is you get working capital. So each time you sell a franchise, as Peter said, you really have very little in the way of outgoings, except for any advertising and promotion you may have to do. So otherwise, you're going to get that franchise fee income. So whether it's a Jim's Mowing getting $20,000 or $30,000, or whether it's a pharmacy group getting $100,000, that figure, all you got to do is pay off your initial setup costs, any promotional costs and so forth, and basically that's yours to put into your cash flow, pay off the mortgage, or in Nettie's case, I don't necessarily recommend it every time, but jump on a plane and go on holiday. And get pregnant. Oh, well, there we go. Must have been Hawaii. So that's one great advantage that people don't realise. I mean, getting working capital is the thing that holds so many businesses back. You know, you've got to sacrifice the business and give half of it away to get somebody to invest, if you can. But then the quality of people. One of the main reasons that people look at franchising, or when you ask people, what's the problem, the biggest problem in your business? One of the top two is going to be people. You know, staff. They're just not committed. They're not reliable. Jim was saying at the break, you know, go on a bender overnight and the next day they're not really at work. They're there, but they're not there. When you've got franchisees, they've got skin in the game. They've got an investment, a commitment. They've got ambitions. And if you selected the right people, you know, you've really got that commitment and desire. But also, it applies to your team, your staff, because there are people like working for an organisation that's got an identity and a brand and energy. It's got feeling and a bit of passion about it. And plus, with a franchise, it's got all those systems, and people love working in that environment. So you find in the franchise sector, because it's been really quite strong in Australia for the last couple of decades, there are a lot of people out there who can fill lots of roles that you'll create really very, very capably. So one of John O'Brien's team looks after the growth of the group now, was his first franchisee in far north Queensland 10 years ago. So you get internal growth, which is absolutely superb. I mean, they know you, and so on. The other one is leverage from the point of view of getting those people, and you can step away in the way that Nettie did. You heard her describing her 6 days a week and tears, to be able to go on holiday and handle her calls and emails on a Thursday and a Friday morning when she was overseas. That was it. So you can manage it. You've got to set the rules and put the systems in place, make sure you give them the support they need. So that leverage is critically important. That's to giving you the lifestyle you're looking for and the opportunity to plan those extra holidays if that's one of the things you're looking at, whatever it might be. And the other thing is time to use that cliched expression, work on the business and not in it. You know, there's so much scope for every business working on it, looking at that big picture, just thinking outrageously big, looking at the gym situation and saying, wow, 3,600 franchisees and 36 franchise groups, you know, that wasn't something that a student as a lawn mowing contractor was really seeing in the big picture. So you've got to be open to surprising growth. That's important. Buying power is extraordinary. When I was at Bedshed, we used to make a net profit of about 28%. And we were doing better than, in those days, in the 80s, our competitors with the large, you know, the Myers and those sorts of people and the local equivalents. We ended up negotiating with our supplier, Joyce Bedding, as it was then in Perth, and we increased our margins to the point that when I sold my last store, we were making 38% net because we were just leveraging our negotiation with our supplier, and they did not want to lose us. They were even paying all of our advertising for us. They paid for our conference for us and took us over to Rottnest Island in Perth. And they paid for that. Nobody had to put their hand in the pocket. So don't underestimate, even with the suppliers you've got that you think you negotiate with, they can change the colour, you know, of that. So that's a key. It's all about brand, isn't it? You know, you read about it, but the truth is it's brand, it's identity. What do people see that you're, you know, sort of synergist with? Whether it's Coca-Cola or Ford Motor Company or whether it's Hungry Jack's, it's the brand that really creates the value. And then when it comes to selling the business, that's what's your big asset that can make a huge difference. So it comes down to the exit strategies. if you're looking to move on from the business at some time, it doesn't matter whether it's going to be, in 5, 10, 20 years' time, you've actually got a lot more opportunities. So what I'd like you to write down is, if you wanted to sell your business today, what type of personal business do you think's out there that would buy your business as it is now? Just take a minute or two just to write down and say, who do you think would be out there as a prospective purchaser? It may be just a business investor or a competitor, something of that nature. Okay, I wonder what sort of answers. Anybody like to nominate what they've got on their pad or in their mind as far as prospective purchaser? Yes, Kimberly.
For us, it would be dealing with floor layers and things like that, where they could do our type of business first and then they do theirs where they make the money. We find a lot of floor layers that don't have enough work to keep them going because they have such a high competition in regards to their industry, whereas there's not as much in ours. So it would be something that would just give them a little bit more income so that they could do what they want to do with the laying.
So that's prospective franchisees you're talking about there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. What about from the point of view of selling your whole business lock, stock and barrel in the way you bought it 4 years ago? Who would you see be out there as potential customers to buy your business as an ongoing concern?
Probably our competitors.
Probably the competitors. Okay. The reason I asked that question, it's not a loaded question. The reason I asked that question is because once you've got a franchise, suddenly you actually got a whole heap of people. If you're selling a house, whether you're selling it by private treaty or auction, the value of the house is going to be determined by how many people are interested. And there's a few criteria around that. But the more people are interested, the higher the value is going to be. With a franchise, what it means is you've got other franchise groups that might want to merge with you. They might want to come and go under your umbrella. They want to put you under their umbrella and amalgamate and reduce their overheads. So Retail Food Group, you may know of, based here in Southport, started off as a humble donut king. Now they've got 16 groups. They just bought Gloria Jeans. And what they do each time, they've got common training, they've got common administration, accounting. So they reduce the overheads and increase the profitability. So that's one area. You've got franchisees. Sinewave recently, the Australian rights were sold to 2 franchisees who acquired that. Then you look as well maybe at other companies that aren't franchised but in your area that would like to have a franchise operation and perhaps convert their business. What better way to do it than buy an existing operation and use all that intellectual property and knowledge? Then beyond there, you look as well at people that perhaps if larger businesses are investors. Say, well, we've got a general manager, you've got all the structure in, all we've got to do is put in a GM or have a board looking over it, and we've got a group, which is why it's not uncommon to see larger scale franchises sell to an investment, an investment bank or something of that nature. So you see, as you start to look at that picture, there's all those potential purchasers. So one of my clients I worked with a number of years ago in Coffs Harbour, called Quick Lube, Super Lube, Speedy Lube. Thank you, Crew. One of my clients called Speedy Lube in Coffs Harbour several years ago, we got it all ready for franchising, and the owner actually was diagnosed with an illness. It wasn't terminal, but it meant he couldn't carry on running the business. So he sold it. The business broker that sold his business told him he got 50% more because it was systemised, ready to franchise. And he sold it to a white-collar car enthusiast, it was car servicing, rather than a car mechanic, which was where traditionally he would have found a purchaser who wouldn't have had the funds to pay what was a significant investment. So that's one example of what can happen. So it gives you, I think, some scope and shows why it's so important. I just read yesterday that Terry White Pharmacy Group, which is a franchise, they just purchased a group called Chem Plus in South Australia. And they've done exactly that for the reason they can merge it under their structure, increase their buying power, reduce their administration costs pro rata, and so on and so forth, and probably learn a bit that Chem Plus are doing that they're not doing. So it's a really great way to go.